4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome, welcome. Look at the sky. We are in the most exquisite place in the world, the African bush. And isn't that absolutely stunning? Now, if you don't know who Turner is, you should be on your way to the Tate to go have a look at some of his works. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my very good friend, Brian Joubert. What have we got today? It's a minimalist. A minimalist tie, and of course together we are the Killer Bees. So Taylor's got tracks of the Nkuhumas. I'm just too taken aback by the sky at the moment. So taken aback, in fact. Look at that, there's the perfect dead tree, the quintessential dead tree, the magnificence of the African sunrise, that I think this is a sunrise. Of all the sunrises we see, that needs to be documented. What do you think, Brian?
I do.
No, I think this is definitely a sunrise that needs to be documented. So, how do we document such a sunrise? How do we document the whole sunrise, start to finish? Well, that's very simple. We do a time lapse. So, I have brought my time lapse kit with me today, which consists of a bungee cord and a GoPro. Now, the reason I have a bungee cord is so I can make sure my GoPro stays high enough off the ground that the hyenas don't eat it. Well, they can still jump up, but they're less likely to eat it than if it were on the ground. So I'm going to attach my GoPro to a said marula tree that's right in front of us. Brian, if Final Control decides they would like to leave us, which would be a silly thing to do because we are the Killer Bees and we are fantastic, would you let me know?
I shall.
Thank you. I hear guinea fowl alarming. I might be setting up my GoPro in the presence of lions. Watch for lions as well, please, Brian. Now let's change this. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. Now, I wasn't joking about the presence of lions. So you hear that? Trying to think of the angle we wanted at. Of course, I'm being heavily distracted by the fact that there's alarm calls. I can almost sniff out the presence of a big cat. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. Lions, just wait till I put up my GoPro. I'm not sure whether it's lions. Of course, it could be leopards. Now, we know Karula and the cubs left our property last night, but if her kill was on the ground, I'm pretty sure that's what she was doing, taking the cubs back to a kill. And she did this a couple of days ago, went to Buffelshoek, killed an adult Impala, and then unfortunately for her, she obviously lost it. Naughty Spikethorn. That looks like about the spot. Oh, actually, let's hook that together first, and then we'll put the GoPro up. It's being very difficult this morning. Well, I think I'm just too distracted. Do you see anything down there, Brian? And the guinea fowls are actually up in the air as well, which makes me think that there's a possible big cat there. Okay, GoPro is oh yeah, on the wrong setting. Let's see what it does. There we go. I think it should be higher. There you go. Get that dead tree in there. perfect. This is very exciting. I do promise to share this once I've put it all together, probably tomorrow. Let's go see what these things... Oh, I've got lots of people talking to me at the same time. Let me just turn down the game drive for a second there. And where's my other radio? So many radios we have. Trumpty Dumpty is wondering what makes the sunrise so pink. Well, it's actually particulates in the air. So it's dust, pollen, all sorts of nonsense that is actually sitting in the low stratosphere of the Earth. So as the sun comes up, the light reflects through it, and that's what makes the pink or red or orange that we get in our sunrise and sunsets. Rexon. Just want to make sure Rexon's out so I can drive in front of WildEarthTV. Confirm I can drive in front of your car, Info. Nkuhuma, there's some guinea fowl alarming down towards the pan. I'm going to follow up. Okay, now let's see. Were the lions watching me while I set up my time lapse? There's guinea fowl actually alarm calling from a tree. Of course, it could be a genet, it could be a white-tailed mongoose. But they sounded most upset. And they're in this marula tree right at the top. Can't see... Oh, are those lion tracks in the road? No. There's something obvious. What? There's an Impala down there. Okay, so while we continue to check, I think that guinea fowl might have been alarming at a genet or a white-tailed mongoose with civet, or even possibly at us, but I don't think it was at us. We're going to keep checking. Taylor's looking for the Nkuhuma pride. She had their tracks going this way. We're checking now to the east to make sure they didn't go this way. So let's go say good morning to Madam McCurdy.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We are racing around on this beautiful day. It's like the sky is on fire. We'll have another view from here because you've got a bit of mist too. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig, aka Batman, and we are looking for the Nkuhumas, and I really want to find them today. I haven't seen lions in such a long time, and the Nkuhumas are so amazing, and I just really wish I could find them because I saw their tracks. I'm so excited, and I'll be devastated if Brent gets them first. So I really want to get them, but let's have a very quick view of this beautiful sunrise. We won't spend too much time here because I know that you were very fortunate enough to have a look with Brent. But I mean, just at the moment you can see, look at that bit of mist. It's going to be another very hot day out here in Africa. Isn't this cool? Lovely. Right, let's keep going. I know that was just a short view, but you've spent quite a bit of time with Brent looking at it, and like I said, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to find these lions. So if you do have any questions, or perhaps you saw any movement around the dam cam last night, whoever the zoomie was, please let us know. Hashtag Safari Live with any updates that you do get, or if you just want to ask us any questions, that's all right too. I do also hope though that those alarming guinea fowl give away the presence of the lions. Like I said, I'll be a bit devastated if it isn't me that gets them. Let's go through here. Oh, what is that on the road? It could be elephant dung. Sorry, Megan, I've just completely lost car. You're drowning out there. Sounds like you're very far away. What has gone on now? Nope. I can't hear you at all, Megan. Let me just check my earpiece. Are you getting the same? Craig is getting exactly the same thing. We can just hear you a little bit, but not really enough. No, very badly. Unfortunately, Megan, I can only hear a whisper. But we'll have to figure out what is going on there. And, oh my goodness, the sky is just really becoming alive. Right, we're going to carry on searching, looking for the Nkuhumas. Hopefully they're around there. We need to sort out some audio problems very quickly. Let's shoot across to Brent and see what has got those guinea fowls startled.
The guinea fowls are saying, Taylor, Brent's going to find the lions first. So, the killer bees are on the search. Now, we're not following track for track. The killer bees are going, if we were a lion, where would we go? And we'd go to Gowrie Cut Line. What do you think, Brian?
Well, that sounds good.
I think that sounds good. Oh, look at that. I know, I'm not normally one for sunrises and sunsets, but this morning is particularly special, especially when there's a dead knobthorn in the way. Oh! Brian, something magical's afoot. I can feel it in my toes. What do you think? Beautiful. Another tough day in the office out here. Now, when we hear birds alarming, Rick is wondering, how can we tell which direction to look in? Rick, in those cases, you look in all directions. And if you can see the bird, it's better, and then you try figure out which way they're facing. So I just want to make sure that there are no tracks here. Just hyena tracks. Okay, let's keep going. So basically, if you see a bird, you want to see which area it's focused on, but quite often you want to check the whole area around where that bird is alarm calling. Hello, Howard, the hyena walking down the road, not the Oompa Loompas, Nkuhumas. Now here we've got an interesting name. Good morning to you, Dr. Space Monkey. Dr. Space Monkey would like to know, how many big cats do we have on the property? Well, to be completely honest, we never know until we've been out in the early morning and we've looked at the tracks. We have 3 almost permanent resident leopards on this particular property, and we have a pride of lions called the Nkuhumas. So there's 5 adult females, 6 cubs in that pride. We have 4 Birmingham boys, which are the coalition males that wander around. We have Karula, Hosana Shongile. So Karula is the dominant female leopard, her 2 offspring. And then we have Tingana, which is the dominant male over most of Djuma. And then we've got Djuma, who comes in from the north. And Shadow comes in, another leopard that comes in from the west, and that's just on Djuma. Of course, we traverse Djuma, Cheetah Plains, Arathusa. So we've got 2 prides of lion we see regularly. In total, about 5 prides of lion we see on and off. And since I've been here in 2 years, I've seen about 27 different individual leopards. But I'd say we probably see 10 of those leopards regularly. I hope that helps, Dr. Space Monkey. There's some relatively fresh elephant dung in the road as well. Oh, we might see some ellies while we're in search of the Nkuhumas. Now, yesterday evening, I had the most splendid bushwalk. We found leopard and lion on foot. Always puts a spring in my step. Brian, I've got a sneaky suspicion the Nkuhumas might have gone out of our traverse area. What do you think? Straight north. So at the moment, the Nkuhumas' movements have been quite interesting. They have been up, down, around, and avoiding the north, but they might head back up there. I personally think they had a run-in with a pride of lions that's moving more and more into from the east into the northwest, called the Torchwood Pride. I think they had 9 or 10 lionesses in that pride. They've got 10 cubs. So lioness prides will fight each other for territory, and we saw quite a lot of the Nkuhumas looking quite bedraggled with holes and teeth marks and scratches in them. I think they had a run-in with that big pride of lions, and that's what's causing them oh, excuse me, to be this far to the south at the moment. Now when you see me hang my head off the vehicle like that, it means I'm looking for footprints. Trumpty Dumpty would like to know how most animals respond to the vehicles we're in. Well, most of them completely ignore us, and if we drive carefully and respectfully, we can get very close to these animals, but most of the time it's not a problem. It's a little bit colder than I thought this morning, Brian. I think I might need to put a little jersey on. Now, of course, what I consider cold, and what a lot of you at home who are watching consider cold, are massively different things. I think anything below 20 degrees Celsius, which is about 70 something Fahrenheit, is cold. And of course you think 40 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit is cold. But it seems like Taylor's managed to fix her audio issues. Let's go see how her tracking track for track is going.
know the Nkuhumas prefer to catch something like a buffalo. It's a big pride now, especially with all those cubs. So catching a kudu is not really viable for those lions. They'll eat it in one evening. So they need to catch something that's larger that they can feed on. So with there not being any buffalo around on the property, they don't need to be here. So that's why they just keep moving in and out, in and out. So we'll see. We've seen one or two dugger boys that have been around, but that's really not enough to attract the herd. Hopefully if they are still on the property, they will find one of them, like the big one we had yesterday, which was actually just off of Mvubu Road, and that's the direction that they were heading in. So you never know, but we're actually just about to pop out near the pan right behind Gallagher Lodge. I haven't seen any more tracks yet. Who's this? It was just hyena running everywhere. No, there's a lion track. I'm not going to stop and show you. I really want to keep up with these lions because you know how quickly they can move. You also never know where they're going to be. Let's just see. I only just saw one lioness track though. Now, unless you've said that there were 3 females with a male last night, Arathusa. Yes, yeah. I think I'd said in the sunset safari last night that there were lions there, but we couldn't get into that sighting, unfortunately. So that was the rest of the Nkuhuma pride. But I've seen all the cub tracks, so they've now moved from Arathusa, and then they're somewhere here. Rexon said he hasn't seen tracks crossing out, covered in spider webs. Hasn't seen any tracks crossing out yet on buffels or cut lines, so that's still alright for us. Let's check. I'm just thinking now, it's a hard one. Let me check a little bit over here, but I'm also not sure if Brent is maybe coming around this way. And then if we don't get anything, we're going to go back towards the last tracks. I'm probably going to jump out the vehicle and get very soggy and go and see if I can find those lions. They might just be laying down in the block between Vuyatela access and then this road that we're on now, on that road over there. That's where we saw them go off. They could have also changed direction. It is so hard to see. No, see, there's no line traction now. It's so hard to see it during the early hours of the morning. You can really easily miss tracks. The dull light doesn't help, and we do have the help of the spotlight, but sometimes it's just not enough. Let's go back. I haven't got anything coming out here, and it's very easy to see when an entire pride has gone down the road. So we'll go to the last tracks and we'll show you those. I am racing around a little bit this morning. But like I said, sometimes these Nkuhumas will still keep moving and they'll just be walking through a block of vegetation. We're not far from the cut line, which makes me a little bit nervous because they do love to pop into Buffalo's Hook. And if they are moving, those cubs are big, they're not little anymore, they keep up with the rest of the pride, so do we. But it's very exciting, isn't it? Let's go. Hold on, Craig. Just zip around. And that's it. You just got to drive up and down all the time until you get lucky and you find something, which is what we're going to do. They could have actually, like I said, maybe they didn't even come east. Maybe they just popped in the Mite drain and then went back across the road and went sort of west again towards Zoe's. I'm sure there would have been a bit of contact calling last night, but not loudly. And especially if you're fast asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, you definitely won't hear the contact calls of the lions unless they're right outside your window. So they could have been communicating with those other 2 lionesses which were found by Brent yesterday on foot. Now, speaking about walking around, you've seen it's lightened up very nicely. Now you've had a beautiful sunrise. I think it's about time we go across and say hello to the bushwalk team.
I also think it's about time to come and say hello. This morning has been a lovely morning so far with all the sunrise. My name is Stef and on camera today we have Dave, and we have just set out. It literally just became light enough for us to go out, and like right off the cuff we've got this magnificent hyena track on the floor here. And it's not often that we get such a perfect track from a hyena to show you. And here it is right here. And it's because the substrate here in the Sabi Sands, when it's got a little bit of moisture in it, just holds the most unbelievable detail in tracks. Now this particular hyena, I have no doubt, is Ribbon, one of Jamie's favorites, and of course the occupant of that hyena den that is nearby camp here. And I think that she came into camp last night to come and have a look for some scraps. And this is one of the reasons why I am terrified of sleeping with any doors open or leaving any dustbins out in camp. I, for one, personally believe that hyena pose the most significant threat to human life in camps like we live in, and it's because they are so bold at night time. They feel nothing to come into a camp and bite someone and drag them out of their rooms, and it's happened so often. And yet, when you look at them looking after their cubs, or when you look at them walking around in the bush, or you encounter them in the bush, they're quite often so timid. It's just not even, it's unbelievable that they can have just such a bizarre change of character. But I suppose it's not really a change of character, it's just our perception of them. Now, I know it's a hyena track. I know that it's a hyena simply because of this toe here. You can see that it's got an odd sort of kidney shape to it, and then the presence of nails, which the leopard and lion, who will have similar sized tracks, would not have. And then of course the back of the pad, which is here, only has 2 lobes in it. And if I can put you over to this track here, slightly more in front, you'll see it's even more pronounced with this massive front foot. So kidney shaped outer toes, claws, and then this 2-lobed angled track. So I'm going to put the grass on the back of the track like that, and the direction of travel is this way, and you'll see that it makes a funny shaped angle. It's not perpendicular, and that is how we know it's a hyena track, and obviously just the size. Right, now I was asked a question now, Megan, if you wouldn't mind just repeating that question for me, just so that I can answer it suitably. Cedar Point, you asked me, is a hyena considered a big cat? Cedar Point, I'm glad that I actually did this representation of why this track is different to a cat's track, because it actually lies at the heart of what these animals are. A hyena is not like a big cat. It's perhaps acts like a big cat out here in that they kill and eat things, but it's actually closer related to a bear than it is to a cat. Cats are one thing, canids are one thing, in other words, dogs are one thing, hyenas are something a little bit different. They're actually their own group of animals, but if you were to reverse evolution, you'd probably find that they have similarities to your wolverine, to a civet, to a bear. They share those common ancestors before they start sharing common ancestors with dogs or with cats. And there's no clearer representation than in their track as to how different they are. Lion and leopard very similar, hyena completely different, even though they are of similar size. Alright, what are our plans today? Well, I thought that I'd go and give Brent a hand trying to find these lion. because they are obviously not that easy to find, otherwise him and Taylor would have found them already this morning. And it's always a good thing. We have Herbie. Of course, Herbie is a gifted tracker. Not only does he look after the security of our group out here, I'd like to show him to you, although he's like a ghost at the moment, somewhere around over here. He keeps the perimeter safe so that we can interact with you through the lens, and he's also a gifted tracker, and he likes nothing more than to put his nose down on the floor and follow a trail to conclusion. Hopefully we can put him onto the tracks of these line and find them for you before the end of drive. What we have got poking out over there is the sun, and of course Brent and Jamie have shared a lot with you this morning. Now, Ora, who's only 8 years old, has asked me, do the hyenas steal food from lions? Ora, absolutely. Hyenas are scavengers. That means that they eat carrion, but it also means that they're quite gifted at stealing prey from others. So, quite often, hyena will steal prey from leopard. They will also steal prey from lion when they can. I personally think it's got a lot to do with body weight. When the total weight of a hyena exceeds the total weight of lion in any given area, hyena are the most dominant predators. And lion actually scavenge from hyena. But in an area like this, Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Greater Kruger National Park, right here at the southern tip of Africa, hyena numbers are relatively low. Therefore, the total weight of hyena here is relatively lower than the total weight of lion. Therefore, hyena scavenge more from lion. Lion kill a lot more here. Hyena will come in any significant numbers, will try and chase off lion. For the most part though, they're just left with the scraps, unfortunately, and have to make do with stealing kills from leopard. Very similar to Karula, a female leopard that lives in this area. It's quite common for leopard, male and female, to have an entourage of hyena as they hunt through the day and through the night. Hyena coming in to make the most of stealing a kill. If a leopard had to all of a sudden make a kill, hyenas quite often arrive on the scene pretty quick, and it's because they're trailing these leopard. Come in, steal the kill, leopard quite often have to leave then and go and make another kill, leaving the hyenas with all their hard-won effort. So I hope that answers your question there. It's for me got to do with the total number of individuals in a particular area. All right, why don't we send you through to Brent, who has probably got an update on what's happening about those lion tracks for you, and as soon as we know more, we'll catch up to you.
Well, so far we've been checking the northern boundary. There's no sign of the lions crossing out, but Rexon's just called me about something very interesting up ahead, so I'm going a little bit faster than I normally would because it's something that might disappear. That's not a lion or a leopard, but just as cool, and I'm wondering what it is exactly. So I know what species it is, what family of it's in, but I don't know what exact species it is. Let me just chat to Rexy quickly. Rex. Confirm you're still with that animal. I'm on Gallagher shortcut now. Confirm just head to the west. Copy, I'm crossing the fire break. How far are you from there? Copy, thanks. Rex is waiting for us to get there because he's ready to leave. So we're just going to go a little bit faster. And I saw the tracks of Karula where she crossed when you were following her with Taylor last night. Where's Rexy? Oh, I thought he was much closer than he is. Oh, where's Rexy gone? Rexon. Rex, I'm approaching the junction to that shortcut that goes to Bovelsdorp Cutline. Confirm you further south still. While we're rushing towards Wrexham, Michelle's wondering, do I think the big cat population is healthy in this area? So of course there's lots of problems with big cats all over Africa, but Michelle, we're gonna have to speak about this a little bit later because I've caught up with Wrexham. Okay, where is it? Ah, I see it. On the road. Ooh, now it's time to decipher which species this is. Oh, that is very cool. It's actually not a snake, it's a legless skink. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a legless skink, just judging from its nose. How cool is that? So, it looks like it is. It's a legless skink. Oh dear. I've only got a snake app. Let's get a bit closer. I just want to have a look at its face. And that is so cool. I love it. I love a little bit of a reptile in the morning. How's that, Brian? So the reason I think it's a legless skink is the shape. Sorry, I'm going to jump out, Brian. I'm going to be in your shot for a second. Now the reason I think it's a legless skink is because of the shape of the head. So sometimes when you look very carefully, you can actually see remnant little legs, and I'm trying to see, but that nose is telling me that it's actually a lizard without legs. So isn't that weird? We get some wonderfully strange creatures there. So if it had been a blind snake of this size, I think the head shape would have been different, and of this coloration as well is probably the most common one we have here. It's probably one of the most dangerous. It's called a stiletto snake, or Bibron's burrowing asp. But see the head, it's got that lizard shaped head. Now I'm just trying to see, some of them, and not all of them, have remnant legs. Let's have a look. Do we have any remnant legs? We don't. Oh, he's so cool. Isn't this just fantastic? So, the reason these skinks or lizards have lost their legs is because they mostly live underground, and they hunt for sort of worms and things like that, but under the ground. So they're moving down tunnels made by termites, by rodents, and as they move through there, all sort of little arthropods and insects and earthworms is what they feed on. So cool. He's got a very, can you see his head nicely, Brian? Yeah. He's got a very unimpressed look on his face, doesn't he? He's like, oh. But I think that's his normal look, unimpressed with life. And you can see any animal that spends a lot of time underground has got the smallest of small eyes, and probably in 100,000 years or so, this particular species will lose its eyes completely. If I remember correctly, now I'm going back into my brain, it is a giant legless skink. So this is one of the biggest species. That is so cool. I can't help myself. I have to get one of my little tricks out. What could be my little trick? A macro lens. Now, my macro lens for my big camera is unfortunately not well and has had to go to Camera Lens Hospital in Johannesburg. So, in the meantime, I have a lens for this. Okay. Now, I'm going to try get a photo, and I'll show you what it looks like to get his unimpressed face from a very frontal angle. Don't be scared. Now, don't ever use an iPhone macro lens with something that's actually venomous, because you will come off second best. foot's in the photo. Don't want my foot in the photo. See, you don't want to do this with something that's actually venomous, because, as I say, it'll be very detrimental to your health. No, don't keep turning away. Oh, shame. Now, that behavior is actually very indicative of the venomous burrowing asp. So they'll often do that, and one of the other things the burrowing asp does is to sort of stick its head in the ground to try and make itself bigger. Now, you'll find a lot of the non-venomous burrowing snakes will display similar, or legless skinks in this case, will display similar behavior to the venomous one, and of course that's to confuse any possible predators into thinking that they might be dangerous as well. Okay, let's try just a normal one. So you can see what I mean when he says he looks unimpressed with life. There we go. He's just got the most, oh, my life is so tough look on his face. Look at that. Look at that. Doesn't he just look unhappy? No, of course, that's just his face. He's not that unhappy. He's trying to escape behind me. Not yet. But isn't that so cool? Now, where's the... Oh. Now, Hunter is wondering, is it slimy? Well, not really, Hunter. It's scaly, and they do have that wonderful sheen. But... they're not slimy at all. I mean, very few snakes or lizards are slimy. They do have a silky, smooth sort of feeling to them, but they're not slimy at all. Now, I'm 99.999% sure this is a giant legless skink, but because I'm not 100% sure, I won't handle it. Just in case it's a snake I don't know. Unlikely, but if you're not 100% sure, you'd never want to handle any of these things. So there's many a person who's like, oh, it's this, it's that, pick it up. And it's been that Bibron's burrowing asp. And the thing about the burrowing asp, and the reason that a little creature like this shows similar tendencies to it, because they're highly venomous, they have cytotoxic venom. They also nicknamed the stiletto snake. So instead of having fangs that come out of their mouth, they have fangs that sit sideways like this. So it's one of the only snakes you cannot handle. Even if you pick it up correctly, like you'd pick up a cobra or a mamba, they're able to still just nick you with that sideward facing fang. And what that ends up doing is causing necrosis. And there's if you ever go on safari and you meet a safari guide who's missing a finger, it's generally because he's misidentified a stiletto snake and lost his finger due to necrosis. Now, let's go have a look at this again. The body shape. Now let's go have a quick look again, and you can see it's very shiny and beautiful. Now, Kitty Bang Bang's wondering, does the skink shed its skin? Yes, like all reptiles, outside of crocodiles, of course, and alligators and stuff, but all your snakes, skinks, lizards will all shed their skin as they grow. Now, this is a particularly large individual, and you can see from a snake point of view, if it was a snake, it's quite a different sort of body shape, and you can see normally there's a very more distinct sort of neckline, and the tail, there are blind snakes that almost don't have a tail, but you can see this is sort of the remnants of an old skink tail. And before I'm 100% sure, I don't want to pick it up, just in case I've got it wrong. As I said, I'm 99% sure, but you can see little they're almost sort of bumps where the legs used to be, and because the whole body shape has changed over evolution, the legs normally sit, or the remnant legs normally sit about there, and then the next set of legs sit about there. So the whole body's been elongated, and the whole spinal structure and everything has changed. But just looking at its head, it's almost certainly a giant legless skink. Oh, so cool. Wait, he's got the very big nostrils for a creature of that size. Let me see if I can get a photo of the nostrils for you. Yeah. From front on, he looks even more unimpressed with life. There you go. Look at that. Now, after rains, you see them more often than you do during the dry season. And of course, a lot of the burrows they live in are inundated with water and or flooded, and so they come out, and especially early morning and at the night, and moving to different areas. Standing by, Rex. That's so cool. Ooh. So, I think we should leave the poor little dude. He's given us so much joy already. I just love the fact that he looks like he's very unimpressed with life. And Herbie's just come across the radio and he said there's some male leopard tracks. So I think we're going to go help Herbie in that area. Oh, well, from a giant legless skink to a giant fungi.
Alrighty, have a look at this sun that we've got now. From a pink dawn and orange highlights to this brilliant silver white glowing ball that's in the sky, and that's because there's a bit of mist close to the ground and it's diffusing the light from, I'm busy waving flowers away while I'm busy talking about the sun. It's diffusing the light and giving this massive glare. It should burn off as the sun gets a little bit taller, but this isn't actually why I wanted to do what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you that mushroom over there. That is one of Africa's delicacies, lying right there. But it is also something that is quite magnificent. Let's go and have a look from a bit closer. This is the largest fungus that grows in South Africa, to my knowledge, and is so highly prized as a food item out here. Look at the size of this guy. There's my hand, just as a size comparison. It's probably about a hand tall by about a football width wide, and just soft and fleshy. Has the texture probably of a freshly baked scone with a harder crust on the top. And African people in this area chop this out of the ground, and then you cook it over a fire like you'd cook a steak, and you eat it. And this sells on the local markets here for a couple of R100, so a couple of tens of dollars for one of these, and is a very, very highly prized delicacy out here. Now, you don't see these very often. They only come out with very special sort of conditions, and I think at the moment what's happened is we've had the right conditions, obviously, otherwise this mushroom wouldn't be growing over here, for them to come out, the right amount of rain, the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of humidity, and this fungus pushes out this head from the ground. Obviously the fungus itself grows under the ground and only pushes out this fleshy head when it needs to spore. So the size that this mushroom is probably going to push out billions of spores, which will then lie dormant in the soil until the next time it's ready. Just look at that. Now, of course, I'm not going to pick it. I want this mushroom to make as many spores and get as many spores to grow as possible. However, I think growing near to a road like this, the chance of it actually getting to a point where the spores will come out is virtually zero. We've got a lot of people that use this particular portion of quarantine up and down to the Philemon's Dip pump house and in and out of the reserve, and I think that this mushroom is going to be harvested pretty quick. Oh, but isn't that fantastic to see? For the life of me, I cannot actually remember the name of this particular fungus. It should be pretty easy to find online. And you're welcome to share the name with me if you want, using that hashtag Safari Live, just to jog my memory banks. I see these things perhaps once every 5 to 6 years. And at the time, I try and remember their names, but of course, you know, the type of memory that I have at the moment, it's amazing that I can even remember my name to say hello in the mornings to you. Anyway, we're still on our way. We haven't heard, oh, we have actually got an update for the lions for you. We heard a lion roar in this direction probably about 10 minutes ago. There's a lion roaring again. 2. You can't hear it, but I can. There. Ooh, and that is far away. We've got 2 lions, 2 sets of lions. So it's probably 2 of the Birmingham boys. One roaring just left of this big marula tree, the other one roaring about double the distance right of the marula tree. They're probably roaring about 2.5 to 3 miles from here. Not forgetting that these valleys sort of channel in that direction, and it'll channel the sound up towards us. So it's probably over 3 miles away from where we are, not on Djuma, but it doesn't mean that they're not coming this way. That actually sounded a lot closer than it did about 10 minutes ago. And hopefully they're busy moving back up into this area. The Birmingham boys are a coalition of male lions that we have in this area. They are the bosses in this area right now, and that there is the southernmost point of their particular area, their home range. In that direction, just across our boundary, is the northern part, and they traverse quite wide east and west of where we are now, but they don't go much further south than what we're hearing there now, so about 3 miles or so. In terms of hectares or acreage, male lions in the Sabi Sand Game Reserve usually have an area of about 5,000 hectare per lion coalition. So 5,000 hectares is probably around, it's about 2.2. We've got leopard tracks here as well. Come and have a look here. I want to do a comparison for you. So it's about 2.2 acres to a hectare, and so we're looking at about 10,000, just over 10,000 acres per lion pride. Now here we have a hyena track. This is still Ribbon's track that we were looking at a little bit earlier on this morning. There are the very characteristic nail marks and that kidney-shaped outside toe. This here is a male leopard's track. Now, what is immediately evident is the fact that they have 4 evenly shaped toes, no claws, and if we have a look here at the back of the track, you'll notice 1, 2, 3 lobes as opposed to the 2 lobes of the hyena. But what I do want to show you is this grass trick. So what we did with the hyena was we put the grass on the back of the track, and when we do it in the direction of travel, you'll notice that there's an angle. There's an angle there. If we do the same thing to a leopard track, you'll notice that it's absolutely perpendicular and square to the direction of travel. So when you don't have any of the distinguishing features, if you can't see the nails, if you can't see those kidney-shaped toes, but you can just see the barest outlines of those tracks, then that is one of the definitive characteristics of the difference between a leopard and a lion track. Even though this hyena and this leopard are probably around about the same weight. The foot is slightly larger on the hyena. Let's actually measure it. So there we go. That's the length of the track. Let's take this out. And let's put it on the back of the track. Actually, they're identical. Have a look at that. How uncanny is that, eh? So there you can see top to bottom and top to bottom, identical sizes. So this is a full-grown male leopard versus a fairly large female hyena. I know Ribbon is not the biggest hyena that we have out here, but she's a full-grown female hyena. These two are probably weighing about the same. I would probably say around about the 70 kilograms, 150 pound mark. And that's pretty big for both of them. So evenly matched here. Quite nice to see, actually. All right. So fresh male leopard tracks, moving down Philemon's dip, Philemon's cut line. Hyena moving in the other direction. Not to say that we're going to find them, but it is always a good thing to follow these tracks. You never quite know what you'll see, and these tracks are pretty fresh. Not from immediately. I wouldn't say that they were put down here. I wouldn't say that they were put down here, you know, minutes ago at dawn. They don't have that freshness. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. They don't have this kick of fresh sand that this hyena track has. As you can see here, this discoloration to the sand on the surface is different, and that's because this track is much fresher. This track unfortunately doesn't hold a lot of detail. You can see how sharp the edges are. Here the soil has started to fall in off the edges. You can see how the soil has fallen off of the sides. It's lost its cohesion as the water has dried up, so it's not immediately. This is a couple of hours old. And the leopard track is even older than that. So the leopard track has already dried. The top of the track has already dried to the same color as the sand on the either side of it, and so it was probably laid down here early last night, somewhere between sort of sundown and 12 o'clock. Right, we're going to carry on following these leopard tracks. I am going to be looking for the first guarri bush that I can find to make myself a fly swatter. We're going to send you over to Taylor for an update.
Hello, we're down on Arathusa, and you see I got so excited this morning with all the action that was going on WildEarthTV Access. There were 4 leopards that were walking around on WildEarthTV Access, as well as I had 1 lioness track and about 17,000 hyenas going up and down. And in the dark, looking at that lioness track, it looked like it was her cubs trailing behind her. But I'm not sure what's happening down in Arathusa. I've got a second standby for a lion sighting. I don't know who it is or how many there are. I also saw some lion tracks coming in from WildEarthTV coming this way, and the road that we're on at the moment is unfortunately a couple of people have driven over the tracks, but there's lots of lion activity there. So it'll be interesting to see what's actually on. But like I said, we're on a standby for the sighting. I just heard Ngala, which is lion, and then they said second standby. So that's all the information that we've got. We'll have to find out the rest when we eventually get into that sighting. So we're just bumbling for now, having a look around. There's chatter. Every now and then I can hear chatter of wild dogs coming in from Elephant Plain side. So they could be anywhere around here, so we'll help the guys just check around these areas too. Then, what else? Tingana. I had Tingana's tracks. I followed them in once he'd done a little roundabout up and down WildEarthTV Access. He comes in to Arathusa as well. So there's a lot happening this morning on this property. We've got lions, word of wild dog, and Tingana could be about 2. And you never know, we might bump into shadow as well. So we'll avoid that area that they have zoned, because we don't want to just go driving there. I also don't exactly know where this lion sighting is. It's somewhere coming up, and obviously I don't want to go barging through. I'm just checking the outskirts, but maybe we can, here's my GPS. Maybe there's a road that we can sneak off somewhere around here, but I think it is around the lodge somewhere. Yeah, so you see how difficult it is to track when it is dark. It is not very fun at all. Crumpty Dumpty. You want to know how many lions are in a pride? As I grab my mobile from the floor. Come here, GPS. It depends. Typically in this area, you don't really see more than about 5 lionesses in a pride. It can extend bigger. Look at the Torchwood pride. I think there are 9 lionesses in that pride, so they can get much bigger. But I haven't seen massive prides of females. It's almost like we get, at the moment, in the Sabi Sand, we get bigger coalitions of males than we are groups of females, which is wonderful. It's really nice to see things like that. But I know, for instance, just in the southern pride, most of those cubs are females, and most of the cubs here in the Nkuhuma pride are also females. So hopefully they all stick together and will create a bigger pride. But it can vary. There's a super pride in the Kruger. I've forgotten what the name is. The mountain pride, I think they're called the mountain pride. There must be about 40 or 45 lions in that pride, and most of them will be young young males as well as adult females and juvenile females too. So they can get massive, but a super pride like that is not very common, of course. To see something like that, it is absolutely exceptional. Like I said earlier, I heard a lion. I didn't actually tell you this. I heard a lion calling when I was walking on foot, just double, triple checking, quadruple checking all of those tracks to see what was going on. And I don't know, it sounded like it was coming from this area. So whether it's this male that's perhaps with the pride lions, maybe it is the Nkuhumas that we're going to go to, but we also know it's no strangers to see the what are they called again? The talalas. Oh my goodness, sometimes it's a mouthful trying to remember all the names of these prides. Right, let's go this way. Just trying to quickly see which way we should go. Let's quickly go around past Second Windmill. Let's help the guys, give them a hand, because this is where the dog tracks were. We'll just help eliminate. Sorry, can I have that question again, please? Hello, Impala. Mike and Michelle, you're wondering when can a lion cub start mating? Hello, you're very jumpy. There's a big herd of Impala. We'll have a look at them. Hey guys, it's okay. It's just us, Craig and I. So, while we have a look at these beautiful Impala who are lost in the grass up to their necks, it depends. So, typically a male lion will be pushed out of the pride at about 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. He's going to go off on his own and start moving around quite a bit. However, sorry, I'm just listening to the radio. I've just picked up comms again. Okay, no, nothing for us just yet. So they'll go out and about and they will wander around. And what I have seen is every now and then you get a very, very lucky young male lion that finds a young female pride too. And often they'll accept him. I think sometimes they take young males like that on. And I actually saw it with Charleston pride. With his one adult lioness, and then she's got her 2 youngsters, and then there's a juvenile male of about 4.5 years old. Whoops, that is hanging around with him, and I'm pretty sure it's just for protection, because I don't think he's contributing just yet to being a successful hunter. But it's quite nice to have an extra pair of eyes and ears, you know, if you are being chased around. Especially the Southern pride likes to chase the Charleston pride away. But typically, a male lion will be able to take over a pride and challenge another coalition of males. Normally around 5.5 years old is typically when you start to see them mating for the first time. And that's exactly what's happened with the Charleston males and as well as the Birmingham boys. They did a pride takeover at about 5.5 years old, just almost 5 years old. But like I said, anything's possible in nature. It depends on the area and the density of lions in that particular spot. So you never quite know what nature will throw out at you. Okay, let's listen to the radio. I haven't heard anything just yet. There's just hear mumblings every now and then. I can just see Arathusa Lodge too. But I don't want to bump this lion sighting just yet. I think we should be on a first standby, so it won't be too long now before they call us in. But we are just hanging tight and waiting for the moment. Now this isn't you see there are so many tracks around here. The hyenas have been busy, but there's lots of vehicle tracks. So obviously the Arathusa guards this morning were also very excited, looking for all sorts of things. Let me just check which way we're going to go. Let's see if we can hear any cars. Yes, I can actually hear a vehicle now. I think they're just down below. Here they come. I would really like to have a chat with one of these Arathusa guards because I can't get hold of anybody. Just so that we can find out exactly what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out, have a chat. Comms are a little bit sketchy down here. I'm going to send you across to Brent and see how his morning's going, and hopefully we'll have some lines for you shortly.
Well, we've got lots on the go. There's tracks of Karula and cubs. It looks like they lost their kill last night heading south, but I've forgotten about cats because they are dog tracks. Dog tracks, dogs. Oh, there we go. Standing by, Rex. Yeah, Herbie's with those Nkonzo. The last Nkonzo I had was on Philemon's at quarantine. I'm just checking towards Twin Dams. There was Nkonzo going in all directions, but I think Herbie's on the freshest tracks. So there's tracks all over the place, like dogs do. They bombshell, they go everywhere. There's some more tracks here. Sorry. Copy, thanks, Rex. Okay. I'm gonna need to go for a little walk quickly to see where these tracks go. And I'm pretty sure Herbie's on the most fresh tracks, but with wild dogs, you never know. There's hyena tracks here as well, but there's also running tracks of Impala. And wild dogs, of course, are the only animals that Impala don't snort at, don't alarm at, they just disappear from. And hyenas will often trail wild dogs. So we've got tracks going here. I'm just going to try to figure out what's going on, which direction, what's going where. While we do that, let's go to the bushwalk, who's on, I think, the freshest of the wild dog tracks.
Alright, we are on the trail of some wild dogs that came onto the property. Fresh. Let me show you a track here. It's difficult to see, but they've come down Philemon's dip, running through this way. We've got squirrels alarm calling, except that I think that squirrel's alarm calling for that brown snake eagle that's sitting in the tree there. But it's so difficult to say. The squirrel giving the alarm call is sitting at the base of that tree with that eagle in it. So it's most likely the case. However, everything in your body wants to tell you that it isn't. And it has to possibly be. Now, heaven sent, you've said to me that, or you've asked, is it easy to track at sunrise or sunset? It absolutely is. And it's easy to track because you get these shadows. So just have a look at this track, for instance. You've got this shadow here that outlines the track in quite stark relief. And that is what absolutely helps you to track it. It shows up the track a lot more. If the sun was directly from the top down, it would make the track look quite flat. You wouldn't be able to see any features on it, and that makes it very difficult to track actually. So I'm just busy having a look at this particular track to decide whether it's a porcupine or a honey badger, and I think it's a porcupine. I want to say honey badger dearly, but I can't see any of the very distinctive long claw marks that is a characteristic of a honey badger. They have these long claws that puncture the soil in front of them. I want to say that that is the track of a porcupine that has gone down into the dip to go and eat, and literally just giving us that lovely track with that shade on the side. Let me show you another. Come with me and let me see if I can highlight to you how easy it is, well, relatively easy it is to see tracks. We can even use the vehicle tracks if you want. Look at the road down here, heading up towards that bump. You can see that the ridges on the track create, on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side of the road, the ridges on the track create the line that you can see there. At midday, you would not be able to see that line. The only reason why we can see those lines, those parallel lines, is because the sun is creating a shadow on the slope facing away from the sun. And that is basically how we identify tracks from far away at these at the times of the day when the sun is at a low angle. It absolutely helps you at sunrise and sunset. Very, very nice. Now the decision here is, which way did those dogs go? They didn't come through the dip. Looks like they've crossed up. Now we know that Ruben's den site is just a little bit in that direction, and quite often when we've been with those hyena at that particular den site, wild dogs have all of a sudden arrived unannounced in the middle of Djuma without really anyone seeing any of their tracks to start off with. So quite often it's the case that they will go and visit that hyena den site. They do that, I think, just for some fun. Wild dog are mischievous creatures that sometimes like to go and cause chaos wherever they can find it, and our hyena den, I think, is good sport for them. They go in there and they create chaos, and then they move off again and go and look for their breakfast. Now, unlike lion and leopard, wild dog are predominantly a daytime predator. Now, Jacob, you've asked me what the difference is between a hyena and a wild dog. Jacob, there's quite a lot of difference between a hyena and a wild dog. I presume, Jacob, that you are right, or you asked that question out of America, out of North America, and the closest comparison that I can get to you to use is, in your country at least anyways, the difference between a bear and a wolf. That is the difference between a hyena and a wild dog. Although a hyena and wild dog look almost the same, there's subtle differences there, and in their way that they behave, in their diet. It's not as dramatic as it is with a bear or a wolf, of course, but the closest relative that I can think of in North America would be the difference between a bear and a wolf is about as close as the difference between a wild dog and a hyena. In the hyena and wild dog cases, they're both carnivores, so they both eat meat, and they both survive off of just meat. You do sometimes find hyena busy eating vegetable matter. In particular, the brown hyena is well known for eating a melon called the Djuma melon, and quite often they'll eat a lot more vegetable matter than what the spotted hyena will. We only get spotted hyena here, and their diet is made up predominantly of meat and carcasses, as well as the leopard. Wild dog are daytime predators, and so they are mainly active in the day, whereas hyena are mainly active at night. Now, I hope that helps, Jacob. Go and have a look at some pictures of a hyena and the wild dog and see if you can see the difference. In the meantime, we're going to send you over to Taylor, who's got a big surprise for you.
Linking. Look who is eating an Impala. I cannot tell you now how many of the Nkuhumas are here, unfortunately. But this little one is munching away. No, sorry, I'm a little bit confused as to what happened. Now, you can see there's lots of vehicles around here. It's very, very difficult for us to get a decent view. They are in the thickest of thickets at the moment. And you'll see the car tires as Craig starts to zoom out. They're very, very tight. So we've come across onto the other side just to have a little look around here. And it seems to be a very, very busy sighting, this lion sighting. So I suspect we're not going to be able to stay here for very long. I'm sure we'll probably, if we're lucky, get about 10 minutes. But then we are going to have to pull out. The standbys are lining up. And as you can see, like I said, it's so difficult to count how many Nkuhumas are here with all the vehicles around. There's obviously 2 big Birminghams that are here. I also cannot tell you who they are at the moment, but we'll just sit and enjoy this lion sighting and take it as it comes. And I've seen about 3 cubs so far, but I can hear more growling off into the distance. But I must tell you that this is the first time I've ever seen lions eating an Impala before. They've seen them eating every other animal that you can think of, porcupines, aardvark, you name it, but I've never seen lions eating an Impala. So this is a first for me, and quite amazing. I've seen lions chasing Impala quite often, but wow, good luck to them. Well done to them, sorry. And it's actually, I think, a difficult animal to catch. Now you see the leopards catching them all the time, but they're a lot sneakier than lions. Leopards being much smaller, able to, I think, stalk a lot better than a lion can, and get up a little bit closer, but they've devoured it. There's nothing left. The little ones, when I very quickly popped onto the other side, you could see that they were just chewing the leftovers around the head, and that's it. So hopefully after this they'll have a siesta today, and then maybe they'll get moving a little bit later this evening, because a meal, even though it was a big male Inyala, well, that's not enough, of course, to feed at least 3 lionesses with 6 cubs and 2 big males. That big male, one of those big males, would have eaten that Inyala on his own, and it actually looks like he has, telling or judging from the size of his stomach. Look at that. You can just see the little horns moving. It's not because the Inyala's alive, but there is a little cub just on the other side of that lioness. You might just see its back. But there's 2 of the Nkuhuma lionesses. The third one must just be off to the left. Like I said, it's very, very dense feeding in there. Maybe what we can try and do at some point is reposition a little bit better. But the birds are chirping. It is going to be hot. I'm going to have to take my jersey off. Melissa, you're wondering how we come up with the names of the pride. It depends on the animal. Normally what happens with the males, for example, the coalition names for the boys come from the area that they were born. So remember, a lot of these places are smaller farms that were all put together and sort of re-established and then turned into wilderness areas. So, for instance, the Birminghams come from the Birmingham farm in the Timbavati. That's how they get their names. Now, the lionesses are slightly different. And the Nkuhuma means brown ivory. So when the Nkuhumas were found, they were actually found under a brown ivory tree. So that's where they got their name on. It's different for every pride, I suppose. The southern pride in the southwestern corner of the Sabi Sands, it is literally the most southern pride of lions that live permanently in the Sabi Sands. So that's where they got their name from. And then who else? The Torchwood pride. I suppose the Torchwood pride predominantly live on Torchwood, or maybe they were found in the Torchwood area, and maybe it's also a similar process with the boys. Like I said, I think they're a bit more lenient with the prides, the family groups. They sort of give them either an area name or a specific tree that they found them on in the case of the Nkuhumas. Hello, who are you? Are you Mfumo? I cannot really tell who that is. It looks like it, but look at that canine, how it's chipped. Can you see that? Bottom right canine. There is half of it taken out. Now that could be from a number of different things. That could be from fighting. That could just be from wear and tear. But just from that swollen nose, I'd say that this is most likely, I could be mistaken, maybe it's Tinyo. But maybe you can help me out a little bit. You haven't seen these lions for such a long time. I've forgotten what all of them look like. Hello, little one. But most likely it will be Tinyo and Mfumo that are here with the Nkuhuma pride. They hang around in this area quite often. We don't often see Nena and Nsuku coming this side. Just every now and then we are lucky enough to see them. And a little cub that came over to get some love from Mom. And I haven't seen our favorite little girl yet. There's the third lioness. Thank you, lovely lady, for coming out. And there they go again around the corner. So at least we've seen 2 cubs now. I've seen 3. I think there might be a third one also fighting about. Oh, that's Tinyo. So the other one must be Mfumo that's laying down at the back. Actually, I haven't seen Mfumo, but the last time that I saw an image of Mfumo, he had a big scar down his eye. It looks like Tinyo's got a similar scratch. Can you see that? Just on his right eye. Looks like they maybe have been boxing a little bit, which is not unusual to see male lions all scarred up. It could still be old scars from the fight with the Matimbas. But very cool. I didn't really know that Tinyo had a broken canine like that. I can't ever remember seeing that, so I don't know if it's new or maybe he has had it for a long time, and I just wasn't taking note of that. But I'm sure that would definitely be a key identifying feature for Tinyo, is that when he does a big yawn or when he pants like that with his mouth open, you can see it very, very clearly. I think that these lions will eventually move, though, into some thicker vegetation. There's one of the older cubs. And another one. So now we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 lion cubs, where we need 2 more. Oh, we're going to shoot very quickly across to Brent.
Well, there we go. There's Karula. She's disappearing into the long grass, so we've got to keep up with her. Now, she just attempted to hunt some Impala, but she missed them. The Impala managed to escape, but now she's calling, so she's after the cubs now. There's a nice little open patch up a seep line coming up. I think Hasana and Shongile are up here somewhere. Well, open is of course a relative term when you are driving off-road. Now we have had Karula's actually had a kill in this area before, and Hasana and Shongile are sleeping in this very tree that's ahead of us. It's amazing how long the grass is that she just disappears. I can't even see her from this distance. What I was hoping is that we would catch the cubs running back towards her. Ah, there she is. Hello, pretty lady. She's calling as she walks. Brow, brow. Maybe I can hear her. So, definitely think that she's going behind the tree we just went behind. Oh, look, there's Brian. Hi, Brian. There's Brian's shadow. Oh, get ready for the screenshots. This is beautiful. Now you can see her beautiful visage coming through the chloris grass. Now I'm pretty sure Hasana and Shongile are probably going to come storming in here shortly as she goes bow, bow, and she calls for them. So she looks quite full, so that she must have been able to eat a bit of whatever she caught to the north of us last night. Before she disappeared. Now we can't move the vehicle, she's right behind us. Brian will tell me when I can. I can? Thank you, Brian. That's why they call us the killer bees. I can hear some oxpeckers alarm calling. I wonder if they're alarming at her or if they're alarming at Hasana or Shongile. Okay, so we got to do some off-roading. I'm trying to find a way to negotiate between some fallen stumps. While we do that, let's go back to the other cats with Madam McCurdy.
Looking. Right, we're still with Nkuhumas, of course, as you know. And we're not going to be able to stay here for too much longer. There's a bit of a squabble. We'll probably be able to spend another 5 minutes with these lions, and then we shall carry on. Like I said, there's a long list of people that are waiting to come in and have a look here. But this is really, really quite nice. Now, there's one lioness that keeps contact calling. I think we won't be able to see her. She's literally only a few feet from behind my vehicle. Let me do a cub count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I heard another one that's lying off just to the right in the grass. I'm pretty sure all 6 are here, which is wonderful. I can see our favorite little girl. I think she's the one, not that one, the one that's munching away just on the left hand corner of the screen. I think that is her, which is good to see that she's still fit and healthy. But you can see the cubs unfortunately haven't had as much to eat as the big boys, because when something like small like this is caught, there will be a big squabble between the lionesses and the males, and unfortunately for the girls, they always come off second best, because the males are much bigger and much stronger. And that's what it is in the bush, is that you've got to be the strongest and the fittest to survive. And lions often scrap over meals like this. Now that the cubs are getting older, they're going to also not be tolerated as much now around the carcasses. They really are going to only be able to eat last. And if they dare try and go and stick their heads into the main meal, oh, listen. Listen, listen, turn your volume up. There's one lioness that's calling, but like I said, she's right behind the vehicle. So I'm not sure why she's calling. Maybe she's looking for the other two lionesses, Amber Eyes and the youngest female. Now she's stopped. Isabella Ray, wondering how old the cubs are now. The oldest ones are about almost 9 months old, if I'm not mistaken. And then 7 months. And then, the youngest cub, who is our favorite little girl that had the little floppy. Yeah, there she is. She must be about 6 months old now. So they're growing up really quickly, and they're looking nice and strong. But our little girl is almost half the size of some of the big cubs. But that's unfortunate, especially when you have a small kill like this. Like, look at this cub. You can see he hasn't got a big bulging belly like we normally see with the cubs. And you know that they don't like to skimp out on a meal. They also gorge themselves to the point where they turn themselves into a beach balloon. But not today. Sorry, guys. You'll have to ask moms and dads, to catch something a bit bigger for you next time. But they're all starting to call a little bit, which is really nice to hear the voices starting to develop on these lions. There goes another lioness now. She's also looking for scraps. You see the one that the cub went to? She hasn't had much to eat either. Hello, girl. She's picky. I'm not sure what part of that is. Maybe it's the hips. I have to have a pelvic bone. I think that's what she's got. Yeah, it looks like it. There's nothing. They've completely decimated this carcass. And she's going to take her little scraps and eat it in the long grass, try and keep away from everybody else. There's a bottom jaw now that the other little cub has got. So they must have, and I know it sounds really gruesome, but they would have literally ripped the Signala apart. Sarah, you're wondering if the male lion will get first dibs on a kill? Yes. Especially if it's something small like this. They come barging in and literally push and shove anybody out of the way and all the other lions out of the way so that they can eat their fill. And that's why they've got the biggest stomachs out of everybody else in the pride at the moment. But I have seen it once where the lioness has caught a warthog. Not here. Oh, listen, she's calling again. We're actually pinned in at the moment, aren't we, Craig? She's sitting right behind us, Craig?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see right behind the vehicle. I don't want to stand up. Yeah, so we will have to wait here until we can find another spot to get out. Anyways, so the one day I was sitting with the pride lions down in the Eastern Cape, and they went on a walkabout. It was actually quite early in the afternoon. It was quite warm too. Anyways, they were walking around. The next minute they started running. And the male lion was dawdling behind, and he was marking his territory, not really paying attention, and they snatched up a warthog. Now, there were 4 lionesses at the time, and I think there were 4 juveniles, so you can imagine a warthog, even though it was a big warthog, isn't much of a meal for that many lions. So they caught it, they started feasting. Literally, there was a lion on every end of that warthog, and the next minute the male realized and heard what was going on, so he came racing in. He raced on in to see what was happening, and he sat there very sadly because the lionesses all turned on him, and it was just one. They turned on him and swatted him. So he sat there and he sulked without getting anything to eat. So he didn't even have one bite of that warthog, and that was the first time and the only time I've ever seen something like that happen. Otherwise, if there are 2 of them, they will gang up on the girls, and like I said, they would literally force their way in. And if those girls say no, they'll get themselves into a lot of trouble. They could risk getting injured to the point where they could get killed, and then nobody wants that. Not that the boys care too much. Hello guys. Shame they're hungry, very, very hungry. They're not the fattest that I've seen them. So hopefully they'll be able to lose the Birminghams and go off and find themselves a buffalo or a zebra or a big kudu bull, so that they can at least have a little bit more to eat rather than just a couple of mouthfuls.